I heard you when I said the number. You're like, oh.
I'm looking for the 1MDB charge. It's got to be.
It has to be that.
A big charge is my. I haven't seen it yet, but when I'm looking through, as I'm looking through the release, all the core trends I see look really good to me. As you said, investment banking was down, but keep in mind that they're the biggest in M&A. They earn significantly more than their next closest competitor, and M&A as a business had lower fees this quarter. But overall, big jump in FICC. Very strong equities, and keep in mind that Goldman changed their reporting, so I think you can't really look at the line by line. So overall, you can still look at revenue and costs and EPS, et cetera. But the way that they report FICC, I think, has changed enough that if you compare it to estimates, that could be misleading. I would just again look to the fact that they were able to grow their FICC line. It's up 83%. Versus a year ago. That's about similar to Goldman, keeping in mind we had a weak year ago quarter, but we're also seeing strength, so sort of doubling down there.
Where is all this strength coming from? And can it actually last, or is that trading activity like a one quarter thing?
So I think there's a couple of things going on. So one, debt fees, which again you saw the strength at Goldman. So that translates higher primary activity, translates to good secondary activity, and so that's been a strong story pretty much all year across the banks. That's one area where we think there could be a little bit less of a tailwind next year. Noel Hebert, who's our credit strategist, has said that he expects U.S. issuance to be lower next year. We had a lot of strength in the fourth quarter. That's part of it. The interest rate story, and by the way, securitizations, which is another thing that J.P. Morgan cited, all those sort of spread type products doing really well this quarter. Again, we're comparing to a weak year ago, so you can't read too much into the 83%, but I think the beats are because issuance came out stronger, and also with interest rates and a lot of what's been going on with the Fed and repo facilities, I think there's been some opportunities there for some of the U.S. banks. We'll see what happens with some of the Europeans.
Sonali Basak of Bloomberg also joining us as well. Your take?
So like Alison was saying, some of the things that are really hard here is that the EPS fell in well short of expectations. That's something Goldman's going to have to spend some time explaining on the call why that was. This is a really tough quarter for comparisons because of the way that they are reporting their earnings differently.
Yeah, hang tight on that one thing, because in terms of their earnings, you're saying it's a litigation. You might have found the number, Alison?
So the litigation provision looks like it was about $1 billion. And so that almost takes us to, they had basically, I think, $1 billion since they talked about accruals for 1MDB, so that's about $2 billion. So, based on estimates from our legal analyst, Elliott Stein, we should be close. So I guess the hope is that this is the majority of the accrual, but the question is going to linger: is there more to come?
Yeah, the more to come is a big question mark here, because we've already kind of seen expectations, according to reports, for what their settlements might look like with the DOJ, what it might look like with Malaysia. It's been coming up a little bit short of expectations, actually, and so now we're waiting for any repercussions with the Federal Reserve as well. And so there could be some volatility there into the year, but we're going to want them to explain some of these just performance segments as well. It looks like wealth management was down just a little bit, and right now that's the big shining star in that consumer and wealth division.